So I want to thank each of you, first of all, for taking your time out today to come and spend some time and talk about some pecans that we're going to look at today. So I really do appreciate you. Your opinion is very important to our discussion here, and it's people like you that help us do this type of research. And all I need is your honest opinion. That's all I need from you, is just to tell me what you really think, okay? So if any questions that we have before we get started, please let me know. But let me start off by saying that I'm Dan, and my company is Consumer Logic. It's a market research company in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You'll notice we've got some people around the room here, so please just ignore these folks, okay? We're going to have our discussion here. These folks around here are here for one purpose. That's to take notes for me, keep me on track, and to make sure that I'm not missing anything and that I'm not making any big mistakes. And so if somebody thinks that I need to follow up on something, they may send a note in to me or something like that, so don't be alarmed on that. It's just their way to say keep on track, okay? So in this session, we're going to have you answer a brief questionnaire that's in front of you, and then we're going to have you taste each of these pecans, and after you try each of the pecans, we're going to have you fill out a short survey about that pecan as well. And make sure that between the trials of the pecan, you take just a bite of cracker and a drink of water. That's just to cleanse your palate so that you can get a good taste of the second pecan, okay? There's a nameplate in front of you, so I know how to call you by name. And anyone have any questions before we begin this process, before we start? Okay? Well, let's go ahead and start. Let's start off, first of all, by just going around the room, and if you could just tell me a little bit about each of yourselves. Tell me about yourself. Tell me something about what you do, when you use, and how you use pecans. Go ahead if you will, please, Christy.
So I'm Christy Lusk, and I am a stay-at-home mom with two boys who are school age. So how I use pecans, I guess, in recipes. That's about it.
Okay.
Sometimes I keep a bag in the freezer for a handful to eat as a snack.
So do your kids like pecans? Do they eat pecans too?
I don't, they don't crave them. Like, they don't say, hey, do you have any pecans in the house? But I think they'll eat them, like, in something.
Okay.
So, it's not one of our most popular nuts in our household, I have to say.
Okay. All right, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trey?
So I'm Trey Malone, PhD student at Oklahoma State, and I mean, I'd say probably I eat the most pecans in like a mixed nut consortium, and also like in desserts, so like ice cream, put it in that a lot. And yeah, I mean, occasionally I'll buy like a bag just at the grocery store to eat while I work, but for the most part I go with the peanuts as opposed to the pecans.
Okay, got it. Great. Roger?
I'm Roger Saz. I'm a extension assistant here with the department. I do work with the hort industry, which does contain the pecan component. I work with a number of pecan producers and operations around the state. When it comes to farm and financial management issues, personally, I do enjoy pecans. Pecan pie is right up there with one of my favorite desserts. So
good stuff.
It's one of my favorite snack foods.
There you go. Good. So, great, Roger. Thanks.
I'm Cheryl St. Clair. I'm an Extension Associate in Rural Development here in the Ag Econ Department at OSU, and also in Extension. And we use pecans all the time. I buy them by the biggest bags I can find, or I try to buy them fresh. I have a 91-year-old father that lives with me. He loves pecans, so we eat a lot of them just in the handful or in ice cream or in desserts.
Great.
So it's a big staple at our house.
So what's your favorite recipe for pecans when you use pecans?
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie. It's a big favorite. Yeah.
Or bourbon chocolate pecan
there
pie.
You go. A little bourbon in there is good too.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anna?
I'm Anna Whitney. I work here in the department, and I would say the favorite way that I choose pecans is just for a snack. I really don't bake that much, because if I bake, I eat it all, and I don't want to do that. So that's really about the only way, except for pecan pie.
Good. Okay. All right. Mackenzie.
I'm Mackenzie Maples. I'm primarily a baker, so that's how I use pecans most frequently. Pies, cakes, pastries, candies, breakfast.
Yeah.
They're good on waffles if you do a praline.
Sounds good. Mix them into the mix with the waffle mix. Sounds good. Okay. Each of you have a questionnaire in front of you, so let's go ahead and have you fill out that questionnaire if you would, please. And that's the first questionnaire, should be the first one on the list there. Oh, the first is a consent form, and this just tells you about what we're doing. I can go through this with you real quick if you like, but the purpose of the study is to better understand how consumers describe the taste of different pecans. And anyone have any food allergies? That's probably the big kicker here, so I think we're okay on that, but just sign that please if you would. And then Part A questionnaire, if you would please fill that out as well. Okay, if you would just pass that consent form and that questionnaire Part A back up to me, please. I'll take
You
those.
want them separately or?
Just together is fine.
Okay,
Yeah,
oh, I just.
that's fine. That's all right. I'll get them sorted out.
Okay.
All right, thanks. And we'll just get that paperwork out of your way.
Need a date.
There we go. Okay, thank you. Okay, so first exercise that we're going to do is we're going to have you try each of these pecans. So let's start that process now and then have you fill out a complete questionnaire. So there's a plate in front of each of you with 3 different pecans. They're designated by a number. Let's start with pecan number 583. I'd like you to take a bite of cracker, drink of water, and then taste enough of product 583, the one that's labeled 583 on your plate, to be able to determine an opinion on this product. You don't have to eat the whole pecan or all the pecans there, but taste enough to get taste enough to form an opinion about the product. Okay, let's go ahead and start that exercise. Bite a cracker, drink of water, and then taste the pecan, and then we'll have you complete that survey about the pecan. Okay, 583. Once you've tasted enough to form an opinion, you can start the survey about that pecan. Any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, everyone have a chance to answer the questions about that pecan. All right. Let's go ahead and go to the next pecan. That's pecan number 726. If you turn over to the next questionnaire. And again, take a bite of cracker, drink of water, just to clear any of the taste of the first pecan from your mouth. And then try 726. Again, tasting enough to form an opinion. Once you've done that, you can answer the survey. You can begin the survey. Okay, has everyone had a chance to answer those questions? Let's go to the last product. Go ahead, take another bite of cracker, drink of water, and then I'd like for you to try the final pecan 492, number 492. Once you've tasted enough of pecan 492 to form an opinion, then go ahead and please fill out that survey for that. Okay. So everyone completed the surveys for all three of those? If you would just pass those surveys up to me, I'll take those out of your way. Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so what do you guys think? Which one's your favorite? Which of those pecans that you tried did you like the best? Let's see, show of hands. How many said the first product that you tried? Okay, so we got one on the first product. So that first product was, let's see, $5.83. We got one vote for that. $7.62. How many people like the second product, the second one? One on that as well. And then the third product finally was everyone else, right? So that was $4.92. And so the rest of you, okay. All right. So why is that? Let's hear from the people who like let's hear from 583 first.
I thought it was the most attractive.
Okay.
So I was influenced by its appearance.
By the way it looked.
Yes, and I have to be honest, I hadn't given my pecan preferences a whole lot of thought before you asked me.
Okay.
And
All right.
now that I've had a chance to reflect, I use them in savory things. So
Okay.
I use them in like on a cheese plate or in salads and things like that. So I think to me, I would probably choose that one because it didn't have kind of an off flavor. Some of the others tasted maybe slightly oily, or I thought it had, for me, a lot of flavor.
So what did you see, what advantages did that seem to you for the types of food that you would use it for?
Well, number one, it looked like a hardy nut, so
Okay.
it looked like I didn't buy the cheapest.
So what about it
ones.
looked like a hardy nut to you?
Well, like it
Explain
was
that to me.
it looked like there wasn't any modeling.
Okay.
You know, the color
Mhm.
was and it was whole. The size of it, so it was substantial in size. It was uniform in color.
Okay.
And like here, you know, mine kind of had some, I don't know, off bits and things. It just looked like a more robust nut
Okay.
to me.
All right. And
On
that
my
was a big part of your criteria for selecting that was just
I
the
do think it
appearance
might
of
have influenced my taste
Okay.
buds, the overall appearance.
Okay. Good.
Mhm.
Good. Any other on 583? Anybody else on that? What did you guys think about that? If anything, at all. The first product that we tried.
I thought it was too big.
Well,
I don't know if I just have like a strong preference for small nuts, but
I knew that was coming.
I don't know how else to say it. But no, I mean, because usually when I'm eating like any type of nuts, I guess I don't think of it as like just like a standalone. It's usually a complement to something else.
Okay.
And I'd much rather have like more of a choice of how much complement to add. So like if I'm gonna buy a bag of peanuts or pecans, like I'm just gonna have enough that I can toss in my mouth and go. Yeah, it was just 583 is too big for me.
When would that product work for you, if at all?
583.
Yeah.
I guess in a pie probably. I mean,
Okay.
like in a pie, it would probably make sense to have a bigger nut.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. I don't make
Okay.
many pies, but I would be okay with.
You just eat them, right?
Yeah, right.
How about the rest of you? Any ideas on that?
I liked the size.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good size. It was, it's big enough that if you put it into a piece of candy, it would be like you only need one. Like you only
Okay.
need that one portion. I didn't like that it wasn't like sweet as soon as it hits your tongue.
Okay. Wasn't it sweet enough for you?
Right. Like as soon as you put it in your mouth, I feel like you should get sweet and then kind of like a nothing, and then at the
Okay.
end you get like a very nutty.
So
and
how
it
important?
didn't have a sweet.
How important is appearance of the nut to you guys? I mean, it's really important to you. I understand, Christy. That's what you said. It was one of your first criteria for selecting that one. How important is the way it looks?
It is for me, I think, because, excuse me, I think of it as on top of the brownie, where it looks nice. If you're going to cut those up and make an appearance,
Okay.
and the bigger nut looks really good
Okay.
that way.
Okay. All right. How important is appearance overall? Is it taste, appearance? How's the order of your preference go?
Well, sometimes if you have a bag of pecans or anything like that, if one is dark or doesn't look right, I'm not going to choose that. If I'm just going to pick out,
Okay.
Apple pudding. So I think
Yeah.
to me too, maybe why I was so drawn to that particular nut is because I think, when you buy, we do eat a lot of cashews, and sometimes, the whole cashews are more expensive. So to me, that is like a higher quality nut. So when I see this tiny one, I think that maybe Bailey didn't spend very much money on that particular pecan. So it's a signal to me of quality, I think.
Okay. Well, the size of it. Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. It's 583. Trey, you chose 583 the second
Right.
product you tried, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. Why did that make you
But-
cut for you?
No, 726 was the one I liked. That's,
Sorry. Yeah.
No, like I said, I just apparently it's because I don't bake enough or think about how these things fit together. But I'd much rather have a smaller nut because then I can really like choose how much I want to eat of it. Like sometimes it's just a lot of nut. Also, but at the end of the day, like, and maybe this just shows how bad my palate is, but like I don't know if I could taste much difference between like the sweetness of 583 versus 726. We could definitely taste it like 492 sure tasted sweeter,
Okay.
relative to the others, but 726 same taste as 583 to me, just smaller, and I like that.
Okay. Smaller was the key for you. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts about that second one we tried there?
Well, the 726 was, in my opinion, a native pecan.
Okay.
It's smaller.
What told you that? What tells you that?
Just the sheer size of it
Size
and
of
the
it.
appearance.
Okay.
Yeah. But ordinarily, based on my experience, the native pecans have a very intense flavor. Normally they do, and based on my experience. I've got a number of pecan trees in my backyard, some of which are paper shell, and then some of them are native. And we enjoy the natives primarily for snack foods. We use them in bars and that type of thing too. And the ones that I've had in the past, at least of the natives, have had that intense flavor. 726 didn't quite do it for me, didn't quite make the grade.
So you thought it was a native, and you were
Yeah.
looking for that.
I was
intense
looking
flavor.
for that criteria in
Yeah.
a native pecan, and
Yeah.
I didn't taste it.
So you say intense flavor. Is that good? Bad?
It's ordinarily it's a very good
It's a good
experience.
thing. It's
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah,
So intense meaning good flavor.
good
for
flavor.
you.
Right. You can immediately sense that on your palate.
And on this pecan, what about that one?
It didn't
762.
taste fresh to me,
Okay.
based on what I've had in the past.
Okay.
So I had to set a docket a little bit on that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now 4 of you selected the last pecan that we tried, right?
Right.
So tell me about that. Why was that your choice? Why is that your preference? What do you think, Cheryl?
Well, for one thing, it's nice and plump
Okay.
and pretty, but it also had better flavor, I thought.
In what way?
Sweet. It had a sweet taste to it.
It seemed to be sweet and buttery to me.
Yeah.
Buttery?
Yeah.
Sweet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I liked it. Even though it wasn't as big as the first one, still it was big enough to like what you're getting, as opposed to like the second one. It was so small that maybe a pecan could be something else, So
Okay.
you would make that one on top, and like the second one, because it didn't have a lot of taste to me,
Okay.
and it wasn't.
So it wasn't just
pretty.
the size, it was the
Yeah,
taste
the
also.
taste. I loved the taste of the third one.
The third one.
But the second one was more of something like you would like grind up and put in a pie crust, like with some graham crackers or something. It wasn't like a main
That you want to
ingredient.
present as part of the,
Yeah.
wouldn't want to put it on top of the
Yeah,
cake
it
or the
wasn't a
pie.
main ingredient for me. It's sort of
Got
a
it. Got it.
extra.
So sweet, right? Sweet's the way you describe that? Buttery?
Buttery.
Well, how else would you describe that nut? When you say buttery, what do you mean by that? How's that?
Smooth. Or,
Smooth.
It seems to be smooth.
yeah,
It's not
smooth to
bitter.
the
It's not
taste.
sour.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not too nutty.
Okay.
Like it's just the right amount. Like to me, sometimes peanuts are just too harsh,
Okay.
and a pecan is more mellow. But
So is that the intenseness that he was talking about with the?
no, I
earlier
think
one?
the intenseness was like
Just the-
it just tastes like a pecan.
Okay.
If it just solid pecan taste.
Okay. All right. So let's just do an exercise. We didn't do this earlier, but how many people? You guys told me which one you selected first. What's the second pecan that you would choose? What's the second? Number 2, would you say?
583.
583 would be mine.
583.
Yeah, 583.
583. Okay. And then 762 is the last one.
726.
I would have
Seven-
chose 492 for my second, and my third would be that 726.
Okay. All right. All right. And you like 726.
Yeah.
So what would be your
Apparently
second
I'm
and
the
third?
outlier.
What would be your second choice?
I'm ruining your data. So second would be the last one we had, which I guess was 492.
Okay. All right. All right. Good. All right. All right. So we talked about size. We talked about the sweetness of the pecan. We talked about the just sort of the uniformity of the pecan not being mottled or broken or smaller, being important for size. Right. What else is there about these pecans? Talked about the sweetness. We talked about buttery flavors. What other attributes would you use to describe pecans that you tried here today?
They have
Nutty
different
flavor.
colors. Yeah,
Color.
they do have a different color.
So what does that tell you? What do you learn from seeing the different colors? Does that say anything to you? No, you
Might
said
mean
something.
that might be old, or if they're
If it's a little
color.
darker,
Yeah, you
maybe a
wonder
little more
how
brown,
fresh.
it could be because, I mean, it could be just due to the varietal, but also it could be due to just how long it's been in storage.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
They do change color. They
Okay.
do darken.
All right. And you can taste the difference for a pecan that's been a little bit older on the shelf too long.
Yeah, I feel like these are
Yeah.
a little bit more dry compared to the ones that we get, like straight
Fresh.
off the tree,
Yep.
and you just go inside and crack open. A little
that-
different.
Does that have that fresh, little moisture nut then to it? Is that right?
I
Is that what
think
you mean?
so. Yeah,
Okay.
compared to these, they were a little bit more dry than that.
Okay, so less moist. Okay, all right. So how many of you eat pecans just by themselves as they stand, just like instead of in recipes, just eating a handful of pecans? How many of you guys eat that like that? Okay.
Yeah.
And what are you looking for when you're looking for a pecan to eat as just a snack food like that?
I want them to. No, I don't want them to be in like tiny pieces because I want to just grab a handful out of my freezer bag.
Okay.
And I want them to have like a sweet taste a little bit and not too bitter.
Okay. So you want it to taste like you would expect it to taste and not bitter.
Right.
What the rest of you guys?
Or rancid,
Yes.
you know.
Where it's gone bad.
So, yes,
Mhm.
that oily.
Do pecans do that?
Yes.
Do they?
Mhm. Yes, that's why I keep them in the freezer too. So I always, if I grab a handful, which
It's
is
always
not,
cold.
it's always cold,
Yeah.
but it's not. But I don't eat them often. But yeah, I don't like them to be, kind of off.
So do you salt those pecans? Are they salted? Are they roasted? Are they just fresh when you eat
Just
those?
Mine are raw.
I keep them in the freezer raw for
Okay.
recipes.
Okay.
But if I eat them like in a bar mix or whatever, they're
Yeah.
salted.
They're salted.
Then
Yeah.
Helps you drink that beer later.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I just see like pecans or nuts in general as like a really solid source of protein at a low price.
Okay.
And so, I'll buy a
Nutritional
bag and-
values for you then.
Yeah, definitely. So if you were to tell me that like one of these pecans was healthier, I'd probably just go with that one. If assuming the price was held constant. If you were telling me one of the pecans was the cheapest, well, I'd probably go with that one. So, I mean, so far as taste is concerned, I think that for me at least, there are a lot of other components outside of taste, and maybe
Okay.
that's just that I don't have a discriminating enough.
Okay. How do the rest of you guys feel about that? Nutrition important to you when you're looking at for nuts? Can you tell the difference between one's nutritious and one is not, or do you look for that?
Can't tell.
I don't know that I can tell, but that's one
It's-
reason I would buy them is for the protein
Mhm.
for me.
That is not something I consider. I
Yeah.
usually drown them in butter and sugar and stuff. So
Put them in your baking.
at some point,
Mhm.
the nutrition doesn't make much of a
A
difference.
pie
in
and a
pie.
cake is not going to make
Yeah.
a lot of difference, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
When I think of nutrition and nuts, a pecan wouldn't be the first. Like I would think an almond or pistachio if I were. That's why I don't keep. We do eat the others out of hand, but this I don't. I only keep for, to use occasionally because I don't find them to be as nutrition dense as other
Okay.
nuts.
All right. So, okay, good. That's good to know. So, are there reasons that you think? Well, why is it that it's less nutritious than other nuts? Would you think, or is it in your opinion? Or
I think it is. only because it's what people have told me.
Is that right?
So I don't have a primary source.
Were we right about that, or what? Is it
Well,
the nutrition of it?
I think they say almonds are maybe the best.
The
for you. I don't
almonds,
know,
yeah.
but
They're
To be-
advertised that way.
to be honest, like a cashew is really would be my favorite. Probably the next one or two I would go to would be a pecan.
Okay.
But a cashew is my favorite too, and isn't it highest in fat?
Probably.
It is. I think it is.
Probably.
But my trainer tells me to eat almonds.
Almonds.
That's what she says.
Most
So-
nutritious.
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like
Yeah.
I'm swayed if I'm going nutritious wise by what the nut associations put on like TV and stuff. Like
Yeah.
their commercials, like pistachio, they always have new commercials out. And for some reason, that makes me think that they're really healthy.
I
And
do
the
think
same
they're
for
lower in
almonds.
fat. I think that I don't think they're terrible.
Mama used
They're not.
Mommy used to make me eat them with my lunches at school.
Yeah.
So
But you got this pecan pie, and then you got pistachio pie.
yeah,
They're
so
really
it's totally
separate.
different. Pecans have always been in sweet things for me growing
Yeah.
up. And then when my mama made me eat healthy lunches, I had pistachios packed in my lunchbox.
Oh, I see. I see.
So maybe I'm just swayed by early influencers.
I've
I
never
see.
seen too many recipes to bake pistachios.
I wouldn't think so.
They're
I
pretty
wouldn't
much
think
a
so.
fresh thing.
Yeah.
They do taste
Yeah.
good.
I
Put them in
like-
ice cream.
Yeah.
Just like
and
pistachio ice cream.
I
That's
have
pretty good.
pistachio smoothies.
Yeah.
Delicious. Yes.
So we're talking about the
But not
nutritious
bacon.
value. We're talking about the healthy pecans as a healthy food. Looking at the three that we just tried today, do any of those three seem to be more healthy than the others? Can you tell?
Can't tell.
That would
can't
be
tell.
difficult to
Tell.
ascertain.
But to
Yeah.
you,
Just
Trey,
by appearance.
right? But to you, Trey, knowing that somebody told you that this is more nutritious than the other one, that would be the one that you would probably go for,
Yeah, definitely.
unless it's
I
three
mean,
times the price.
If you had like 3 bins and then you had, your health information or, the protein or caloric, or the calorie numbers per serving, yeah, I would definitely just pick the one with the most
Okay.
protein, lowest calories.
Okay.
Move on.
But for pecans, from what I hear you guys saying, tell me if this is right or wrong, but from what I hear you saying around this room, maybe important to you, Trey, but for the rest of you guys, you use it in
That's all I
in
do.
your pies and cakes and things like that, and desserts. And nutrition's not really a big part of why you eat pecans. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. For you, Trey, it may be different, but
Yeah.
for the rest of you guys, yeah. All right. So what are the ways that you eat pecans as part of a recipe? We talked a little bit about pies. We talked about pecan pie. Everybody loves those. Lots of sugar in that, right? How else do you use pecans? How else have you used pecans in recipes?
I make granola pecans.
Homemade granola. Okay. So what does that have in it? It has like oats,
Oatmeal, brown sugar, pecans, flour, and butter.
So you use pecans as your nut of choice for that. And why is that?
Because that's what the recipe calls for. But we like them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It blends well with
Yeah.
those other things,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
It's also makes good topping on any kind of a fruit, like a fruit, apple crisp, peach crisp, cherry.
Again,
So instead
pistachios
of-
may be more nutritious, but pecans are going to be the choice for
Yeah,
those types of things.
and they're a substitute. That I use the granola as a substitute for pie dough rather than making pie dough.
Oh.
Put the granola
That's
topping
clever.
with the
That's a good
pecans and the
idea.
oatmeal. It's really good.
Okay, good. So granola bars. What other recipes have you guys used pecans in? What do you like to use it in? Yeah.
So I always have them because there's this one recipe with gala apples, mixed greens, a handful of pecans, and blue cheese
Ooh.
with a vinaigrette, and it is
Sounds good.
It's a Pioneer Woman recipe. You can look it up. It's delicious. But I normally have a bag of pecans in the freezer just for that. But I do find, to your comment about the granola, if I'm looking for a little bit of crunch in my oatmeal, I'll often grab a handful and throw it in there.
Just a handful. You don't cut them up or anything. No. Just put
I'm
'em in.
too lazy to do
Yeah, I
that.
got you. I
so.
got you. Me too. Yeah. And how about you, Anna? What recipes do you use?
I suppose I don't really make that much, to tell you the
So you
truth.
just eat them as a
I've-
snack food and not as
Mainly a
recipes?
snack for me.
Okay. All right. Mackenzie?
I like them in candies. So I love Divinity at Christmas.
Oh.
And I put a pecan half on top of all of them. And so I think those are really good. But that's only special occasions for Christmas. Every other time of the year, I really like them in a fresh apple cake
Sounds good.
with cream cheese icing. You stick them in the cake and then decorate the cake with the pecans. Like
Apple
chopped,
cake.
That'd be
yeah. And then put chopped pecans all around the outside.
Apple pie? No?
I do
Just
not
cake.
make apple pie.
Okay.
They go well with bananas.
They go well
I
with
make
bananas.
Yeah,
banana
that's
nut
true.
muffins, banana dishes, yeah.
Yeah.
Banana pecan waffles.
Yeah, and I've seen them in
pancakes.
recipes for banana bread, right? Where you put pecans
Banana
in with
bread, banana muffins,
That's
yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that, and you're asking the wrong person. My wife is the chef here, when it comes to recipes. But yeah, we use a lot of pecans. But once again, I've got a captive supply, so it's
Yeah.
virtually free.
Yeah.
Not totally
Great.
free, as an economist speaking here, but it's the closest thing to it.
Great.
Closest thing to a free lunch trade, but but we use them a lot in bars too. I mean, like chocolate bars, or either you put the whole nut on top, or you just chop them up and then you mix it with the mix, the pack mix, and then you
For
bake
brownies
'em
or
for
what?
well, it could be mostly for brownies.
Brownies.
Yeah. And then I guess there's maybe some distinction between brownies and bars, but brownies is a classic example. Yeah.
Okay.
$1 million fudge.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You gotta
some
have
people
tons of
put
nuts
'em
in that one, or
fudge.
just
Oh.
Aunt Bill's brown candy is full of pecans.
Pecans. Okay.
It's like a homemade caramel.
So you make that and put it in there.
Mm.
So do you treat those before you put them into the mix, or you just put them straight into the mix?
Straight in.
I didn't know if you candied them first or something, right? No? You just put them
Mm-mm.
straight in.
Straight in.
Candied
Straight
pecans, anybody ever do that?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
have.
yeah.
For
Pre-
snacks.
pralines,
Yeah,
as
they're
they say?
delicious.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sugar and cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trey, how do you like to use pecans when you use them in recipes?
I'm starting to realize I'm the only one that's a terrible chef. So,
How about waffles? How about just putting them in some waffles?
yeah, that's about
pretty
where
easy.
I'm at. No, I mean I make a lot of trail mix or like mixed nuts, and so it's not really a recipe. I guess I'm not fancy.
All for nutrition. That's all.
Right,
That's
that's-
the thing for you, man.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean
source
nuts
of
are
protein.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a good source of protein that I don't have to refrigerate, and
Good.
it doesn't go bad. Apparently, it does. I didn't know that,
Yeah.
but news to me.
Stick them in the freezer.
Yeah.
In a freezer bag twice.
I'm a major,
Two freezer bags.
Oh, I guess I really enjoy German chocolate cake.
Oh,
Okay, and
yeah.
so when you mix up the frosting, with the coconut, pecans are a major component of that. And
Good.
so I mean, it's right up there with pecan pie in terms of desserts.
Ooh, sounds good. Sounds
And
really good.
hummingbird cake has pecans.
Yeah.
Never heard of that. Now what's that?
Southern.
Bananas, pineapples, coconut, white cake, yellow cake,
Mmm.
cream
Sounds
cheese
great.
frosting,
Yeah.
Sounds good.
pecans.
Things you
Hummingbird
can't
cake.
eat very often because they're
Yeah.
so full of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, great.
That.
Well, good. So thinking about the recipes, we just talked about some different recipes for using pecans, and the 3 different pecans that we tried here today. Any one of those seemed like it'd be one that you'd choose for using in recipes more than the others? I think we talked a little bit about this. I think we talked about the 762. You might grind that up and put it into your cake. I mean your pie crust, right? And the other ones, the bigger ones, would go in the pie because they look good on top of the pie, right? The bigger
Right.
583. Anything else? Any one of those seem like it would work better for recipes you make or not?
I like 492. I just thought it was a good size so you could chop it, but it
Mhm.
was big enough that you could leave it whole if you wanted to. And I
So when
just-
you
it
gave
was
me your
sweet.
preferences on that, you were thinking about how to use that in
How I would
recipes that
normally
you
use them.
use, all of you guys, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Anything else on recipes for pies or cakes or any other recipes with pecans? Anything else on that? Okay. All right. So are there any of these pecans that you think would be good just as a standalone, just to try by itself? Any one of these that would work best for that? Or does your preference change on that at all?
Mine are the same.
Same?
Mine's the same.
Same. Same on that? Eating it just the way it is? You just go with what you got? Okay. All right. All right. So what about if pecans were added to like raisins and salted peanuts as part of a trail mix? Which of these pecans would be best to use for something like that, if any? Any in particular would stand out best?
What did you say? Raisins and
And you like salted peanuts,
Okay.
and as part of a trail mix that you
Okay.
make, right? When you make trail mix.
Well, that's why I'd want the small one, because if
That's
not,
the
it like
reason
either
you just like
raises
small
to the
one.
top or it falls to the bottom of my trail mix, and then I don't want to eat. Like the beauty of trail mix or mixed nuts is that you get a mix.
Right.
Yeah.
and I'm not going to get that if I have just a really big nut.
So you throw some M&Ms in there too, or
Right.
something? Yeah.
So
That's
you
good.
could, you could use the smaller one, or you could cut the bigger one in half.
Yeah.
They've
that
got the
works
same
same way.
size.
So the flavor is about the same to you guys as far as that goes for trail mix. Was there any difference between those two in the flavor to you?
I don't know. I still feel like you should pick the pecan based on the flavor and not the size, and then you can make the size fit what you
So
need
you
it
can
for.
cut it up if you need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
got
I
it.
would probably still pick the same order and
You
just
say
chop
same
it.
order.
Yeah.
Rest of you guys feel the same way, or what do you think?
I would say if I'm going to expend the calories to eat something, I want it to taste like, I'm getting something for the expenditure. So to me, like I would say 726, I don't know that it's really worth it to me.
Okay, all right.
So
And
it's got to pack some sort of flavor punch so I know that
It
I'm
just
eating
didn't have the
something.
flavor that you we're looking
Right,
for. I see.
right.
Okay.
Yeah,
They need to
726
taste-
just didn't seem to, make the grade with me, and so ordinarily I would choose the smaller one, the natives, as a trail mix,
Right.
because it's sort of conforms with the rest of the trail mix. It just it doesn't maybe stand out as opposed to the composition of everything you got in there. But if 726 had a great flavor, or at least a better flavor, I'd give it a higher grade, a rating. But when it comes to the the ones that we looked at today, I thought 492. It's got a good flavor, and I've seen a number of improved or paper shells that are quite large, and this one's really pretty modest in size in terms
That
of
what it
a
is?
a
Yeah.
paper shell. Yeah.
Yeah. But the 726 was the one that to you, yeah, but that was the one that you expected was a native, and then when you
Yeah.
tasted it, it just didn't have that flavor
It
that
just
you
didn't have the
expected.
flavor that I was
So again, it's
looking
kind of
for.
like your expectation was not met when you actually tried it.
Right.
Rest of you guys like the natives? Anyone else? We didn't talk too much about the differences, but
Yeah,
I guess I
we
prefer
eat a lot
natives.
of native pecans. We used to have pecan trees growing up, so.
and you can taste the difference.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I did not know there was such a thing.
the small.
Like if
pecans.
you would have said, "Hey, I'm eating a native pecan," I would think, I have no idea what you're talking about. I did
Okay.
not know that there was a distinction
Okay.
among pecans.
Okay.
So I'm uneducated.
Now you learned something.
I
today.
did. I
Yeah.
absolutely did.
Yeah.
We just grew up eating the pecans off the tree.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we'd
Yeah.
bring in the big bucket of nuts, and then you'd sit on the couch and you'd have to crack them.
Yep.
That was our job as a little kid. We had to
Mhm.
crack them.
Crack those nuts.
We had to do it by hand, so it was not as cool as the new things.
We
So
still
your
do.
family used pecans a lot
Yeah.
then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We grew up with them.
Yeah. Yeah, we did too. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the pecans that we tried today? Anything else? I think we've covered a lot of what we were going to just talk about today, but is there anything else we missed? Anything else we need to know?
I feel like in the store that pecans are one of the more expensive nuts.
Is that right?
Right now, they're real high, yeah.
Yeah,
that
it's
right?
like
They are
$12.62 for a big bag of the
Well, I
blue
was saying,
kind. I don't know
I was
what
thinking
a
about
buy.
9 or 10 for the big bag.
If
Yeah,
the
it
big
could
bag
be.
is
They're,
about
they're pretty
10 or
expensive
11.
right now. They have been a lot cheaper.
Okay.
Used to get them for $4 or $5 a bag.
that right?
Now they're like almost double that. Yeah, they're
Okay.
double that.
So is
Yeah,
that
I
a big
agree.
factor in your just selection of which nuts to buy? I mean, if you're making pecan pie, you're going to buy pecans, but
I think if it's Christmas, you're going to spend money on them, and if you're going to just snack away, you might not spend as much. I don't know. It just depends.
I'm always buying them for like a specific recipe and stuff, but so it doesn't matter much other than like when I actually stand there looking at all the, all the choices, like almond for the same amount, I could spend this or this, and I'm always just surprised that I just figure there's more labor involved in harvesting of them or something. I don't know. I still buy them, but I always think, oh, that was kind of
a
expensive.
little expensive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We still buy them too, but they
Yeah.
are pretty high.
Mhm.
And
I don't
but you
buy
don't have a lot of
much.
choices on the shelf. There's one kind,
Yeah.
Yeah.
one brand. That's it.
Is that right?
Yeah. So when you say, I mean, I know there's more varieties, but all we have available at the store is
Yeah.
one kind.
Do you ever buy pecans through like any of the farmers markets or local markets where they have
Through
local
the
nuts?
ag, they have some down in horticulture, I think, every year, either raw peanuts or pecans, and I'll buy those, but that's very seasonal.
Mhm.
You can't get them all year round.
Mhm.
I'm
Or you
more
go
like
pick your own?
Roger. I don't buy them so much because every other year I stock them up into my freezer and then I keep them in my freezer. So
I grow
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
And fortunately, they do freeze quite well. And if you freeze them properly, they will store for actually several years in a
Cool.
freezer. In a refrigerator, about 3 to 6 months before
Okay.
they do turn sort of somewhat rancid
Yeah.
because of the oils in the nut. And when they start turning on you, then it's either you better use them up real fast, or you might as well just toss them.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just summarize what we learned here today. We tried 3 different pecans, 3 different varieties of pecan, and you each were able to tell differences between those 3. And then you told us what you thought about those. You rated them on a survey. And when it came down to it, really the 492 was preferred by most of you. 4 of the 6 of you preferred 492. And the reason for that was the taste, the flavor, and the sweetness of the flavor, and the buttery flavor, and the taste of the nut itself, right? A couple of you selected other pecans for different reasons. Yours was based on the appearance more than anything else, the way that it looked, and you liked the way that it was uniform looking. And for you, Trey, you liked the smaller nut because of the way that you would use it, which would be in those trail mixes and things like that. And you thought that it had good flavor, and it was hard to tell really the differences between them. But with that smaller nut, you could use it for different ways that you'd use it. Anything else on that? Okay. Talked about some ways that we use pecans today, and pies, and a lot of the sweets, either baking or in pies and cakes. And other desserts are popular ways to use pecans, but other ways that you use them are just to eat them as nuts, freestanding, for the nutritional value, for the protein value of it, but also as part of a trail mix or part of bars like we talked about, or brownies, those types of things. And so I think we learned a lot today. Is there anything else that we need to know before we leave today, before we get out of here?
I think pecans are perceived as sort of a southern grown type of nut. I mean, for most native Oklahomans, it's you used them, you grew up with them, you ate them a lot growing up, and so I mean, what's your beef with them? I mean, you should like them, right?
Right.
But I don't think it has a national presence, obviously, as the almonds or pistachios or say walnuts even. That are grown in California. I think a lot of that has to do with the marketing emphasis and the national sales promotion. And I don't think we see that in pecans.
So to differentiate pecans from walnuts or from almonds or from pistachios, what would be that sales pitch? What would you use? What would be the reason that you would want to buy pecans versus those other types of nuts?
Well,
What do you think they should highlight when they're trying to advertise this?
I think they need to highlight the either nutritional value, if there's any differences, in terms of testing, the differences between those nuts, to emphasize the nutritional value, and also the flavor, and appearance as well. They could emphasize its appearance in a pie or in some other recipe where they're whole, and it really the bang for the buck, I guess, that most consumers are looking for.
Okay. All right. So getting that nutrition from a pecan versus a walnut or a peanut, for instance, and then also the way it looks, the appearance, very important, and using it in different recipes. It looks good, right?
It's a down-home nut, I feel
Yeah.
like. Maybe because I grew
Yeah.
up with them too. I'm in North Alabama. So South Alabama, they had the peanuts. North Alabama, pecans were sort of our nut. That's what we always had growing up. And they're versatile. Like you can use them in savory, like the salad and then the sweet potatoes, but then you put them in desserts, and everybody likes pecan desserts unless you're allergic to them, but even then you'd probably still like them if you weren't allergic to them. They're just, I don't know, like a good down-home nut. Like they make you feel like you're at home and they're happy.
There you go. That might be a good
Yeah.
approach. It's the down-home nut,
Yeah,
right?
the down-home
That
nut.
would be our
That's a good
tagline right there. Okay. Well, I want to thank each of you today for taking the time out and coming and spending with us. Really do appreciate it. I think we learned a lot, and I hope you did too. So thank you.
Thank you.